Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting. So just going through the next stage, which is a bit about what I've found through my experience in life around self-validation. So basically throughout my years on this planet, okay, in this field of life, I have learned some of the hardest lessons in personal growth and personal development through situations that I've subconsciously put myself through. And it's mostly around validating my worthiness. I really struggled with that as a younger teenager and a young adult. In terms of, I always validated what other people believed above myself. And I never saw the damage I was doing to myself, where every time I chose to validate other people over my own beliefs or over what I wanted in life. Okay. And it's the smallest things, like taking that job and doing that job that erodes your self-worth of who you think you need to be or who you want to be. When you have to do or take those actions that lower who you feel you should be or the value you feel you should have. So I, thankfully had to go down the hardest path in terms of my own mental state, and learn the lessons again and again and again until I really understood them. And it was a hard road, but on the other side is always the benefit of knowledge, experience, and self-belief. But the only time, what I realized in my experience was the only time I started building that self-belief and building up that self-worth was when I really leaned into, you know what? It's okay if I'm wrong. I should start backing myself. I should choose to back and validate my opinions over others, because that's how we build trust. We build trust through the actions that we take. So by choosing to do what I feel is right for me in the moment, do what I feel is right for me, the right path for me to take. So sometimes how that looked in my life was sacrificing, higher paying jobs or sacrificing success so that I had my morality, choosing to value the internal values that I hold of, never misleading people, never manipulating people. Because in sales, for example, it's so easy to be successful in sales if you lie, manipulate, and pressure people. The hardest thing to do in sales is to achieve success by being genuine, authentic, and, honest, because it's so easy to manipulate people into pressuring them into making a decision that's not in their best interest. Okay. And many people in sales, and that's why we don't like naturally salespeople, because we've developed this understanding that, they're just out to con us. They're just out to sell us a product that we don't need, that we don't want. You know what I mean? It's the same in relationships. It's easy to lie and misrepresent yourself as being better than you are, or as being aligned to certain people to get what you want out of them. The hard thing is losing when you know that it's not right for you. Like, the hard thing is choosing to lose in the short term so that you can win in the long term, because we all seek to minimize our short-term suffering, right? So what I chose at a young age, okay, for me, it was the easiest path to do, but it's not easy because, it's not easy seeing other people succeed when they're doing the wrong thing, and yet you fail because you're choosing to do the right thing in the short term. But in the long term, doing the wrong thing will always lead you to failure. Misleading, lying to people, misrepresenting yourself will always lead you to, in the long term, being in a spot that you don't want to be in. becoming a person that you don't want to become in terms of, you know, morality. We don't just become unethical and immoral overnight. It's a sliding scale of small actions that lower our self-worth and our self-belief in our moral compass. So that was a big thing for me, was being able to take those losses, take those hits, yet still believe that doing the right thing, being the right person, being transparent, being honest was going to get me to where I wanted to be. And it has, because I don't have any fear about who I am. No one can use anything I've ever done against me, because I accept all the good and all the bad in my life. I accept that I am only human. I make mistakes. That I accept that, you know, it's okay for me to feel heartbreak. It's okay for me to feel failure. It's okay for me to suffer in the short term, because I know in the long term that suffering creates strength. You know, strengthen my moral ability, strengthen my value of who I believe I am. But the key thing to remember is that it's only when we consciously choose to take those actions, okay, and when we just accept that sometimes we're going to suffer, sometimes we're going to lose, and that's okay. So long as we hold on to, in the long term, it will get better. In the long term, we will succeed. Because it's easy for me to, for example, in sales, okay, over present my confidence and you know, mislead people about my understanding in an industry, rather than go out there and actually get that understanding. It's easy for me to pretend like I know more than I know, rather than to just accept that, hey, at the early stages, I don't know that much, and that's okay. I'm working towards understanding it. All right. But what we got to really understand is that these failures, these setbacks, these times where we just don't achieve what we want to achieve, or we're not getting the results that we want to get, and that temptation to take the easy route. For example, if I give you an example of, you know, people that work out at the gym, some people choose to diet and they choose to have a strong exercise regime. They don't get results as quick as someone that's willing to take steroids, that's willing to take these supplements or these drugs that get them higher performance in the short term. But what it does is it leads them to build a lazy mindset. It leads them to build, you know, lazy behaviors and all of that. So the key thing to remember is we want to build strength through our actions. We want to build strength internally through our beliefs. You know, our belief that doing the right thing, you know, that taking the hardest path in life will get us to where we want to get to. That is one of my mottos that I created for myself when I was 16, when I was having to develop my understanding of who did I want to be and what did I want to present. Because everyone around me when I was young and a young adolescent was taking the easy road, was lying, manipulating, was, you know, just doing, you know, taking the shortest path to their success or their idea of success. They weren't willing to put in the work, okay? And for many of those people, yeah, they reached their version of success, but they do not have the confidence internally that I have, in terms of they're not willing to put in 10,000 hours to learn a subject. They'll just sit there and berate you until you agree with them. You know what I mean? So the motto I created for myself is do what's hard until what's hard becomes easy, and then life becomes effortless. If I make myself become used to doing the most difficult thing, when I fall back to doing the average level of effort or doing the easy route, life is effortless, because it'll never be as difficult as the path I made it. So what happens is my life becomes easy. My life becomes effortless. Okay. But really understanding that, it's through our actions and through our beliefs. Okay. That's how we structure and build our self-validation. You know what I mean? Because it's through us having the certainty to be willing to take those actions, to hold those beliefs, even when our external environment is telling us, that we should do this, that we should do that, that we should take the easy road. For example, if you've ever looked online and wanted to start a business or wanted to earn extra income, there's a million people that'll tell you that you can build a passive income with zero effort. And all you have to do is you just find the most trending product, and then you sell the most trending product in dropship and all of this, and you go on there. I've looked into all of that. The reason personally I was unable to do that is because they're low quality products. I can never sell or promote a product that I don't truly believe is valuable for the people that I'm selling it to, because I would feel wrong selling someone a low quality product or a low quality, something that's going to take away from their life rather than add to their life, because I want to be able to have that relationship in the future. I don't just want to make money off someone and then have them pissed off at me and never want to speak to me again. That to me is the worst thing in life, is to lower who I am just to get ahead. So that's one of the key things in understanding it, is what are your values, or what are your beliefs of the person who you want to be, and what is important for that person. Like, what does that person believe? How does that person interact with others? Is that person someone that is predatory, that looks to take advantage of others, or is that someone, a guardian, someone who looks to protect others, doesn't look to use their knowledge or their understanding to control others or stand over others? We should always look to lift each other up rather than, put each other down. So there's some pretty key things. But also, learning the hard action, or the hard lessons in life, like, it takes fortitude, it takes will. Suffering takes an ability to sit in what is perceived as pain, or what is perceived as a negative situation. Because the longer we sit in a negative situation, the easier it is to deal with. It's when we look at it as being negative and that we're losing by being in there, it's okay. Like, if I have to, for example, if I'm lost in the wilderness and I've got to travel 100 kilometers to get to safety, okay, it's going to suck walking 100 kilometers. But I know if I continue to walk and move towards that safety, eventually I will get there. And it's having that fortitude and that will to, regardless of the pain I'm in, regardless of, the suffering I have to go through, if I go through it, I will get to where I want to be. You know what I mean? And that's sort of how metaphorically life is. We have to go through our suffering, and we have to accept it and be willing to deal with it, and be willing to accept it as not being negative. Because it's not negative if I'm lost in the wilderness and I've got to travel, walk 100 kilometers through bushland and scrub and through, uncharted terrain to get to safety. That's not a negative situation, because that situation is leading me to a positive result. Whereas if I was, in the wilderness and I was just looking to try and find the easiest way out, or the easiest, way to get to any safety, and I wasn't willing to walk, and I was looking for help, and I was just looking for someone to take me there, to take me out of it, and I was upset and sad that I'm in this negative state, that's different. That's where we're in a negative mind frame of, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I need someone else so that I'm able to survive. Okay. And that's what we got to understand in life. Okay. In our life journey, is the only person we can truly count on, okay, for any form of support is ourselves, because we're the only one that really understands what we're going through. So you've got to develop and understand that you've got to be your, moral support. You've got to be your rock. You've got to be your biggest cheerleader. Like you're the person who you've got to look for in difficult times to get you through. When you're in suffering, when you're going without, when you're having to struggle, it's you that will pull you out. We can sit there and wish and want for someone else to help us, to pull us out, but we have to understand it's up to us to pull ourselves out of this situation, to bring ourselves to our version of success, to help ourselves live the life we want to live. But another important thing to realize, okay, is the effect that our actions, our thought patterns, and our belief structures have on shaping our concept of reality. If I believe I am lost in the wilderness, and I believe that 100 kilometers is too far, I cannot do it. It is not an achievable task. I will never achieve that. If my thought patterns are always, you can't do this, you won't get through it, it's too big of a challenge, it's too hard, what happens is my actions will be a result of those thought patterns. My actions will be a result of the beliefs that I have. So if I believe that I can travel 100 kilometers by foot in 3 days, it is quite easy for me to survive because I only have to survive 3 days. If I believe that 100 kilometers would take me, a week or two to travel, it becomes a lot harder to sacrifice. It becomes a lot harder to put out and to take the actions and to do it. If I believe, like David Goggins, that I can walk or run on broken legs, and I am willing to accept that suffering, then I can do it. Now, it doesn't mean that we should all do that or push ourselves to that level, but it just means that whatever we believe as being real and true, okay, as being possible for me to do, will be my reality, will shape my reality, okay? And if I'm taking the actions, so if I believe, that safety, I'm in the wilderness and that safety is 100 kilometers away, but I'm unwilling to walk in that direction, to take the action, to move towards that safety, I will never reach it. I will never get there. Just like in life, if I'm in a position where I am struggling in life, okay, and I am trying to, maybe it's financial struggles or emotional struggles, and I know that safety is just getting through this obstacle, just getting through this challenge or this event or this situation, okay, but I'm not willing to do the work to get there, I will never get there. If I give up, I will never succeed. So understand that what we have to do is we have to validate our actions, our thought patterns, our belief structures, okay? Because these are the things that shape our concept of reality. And how it works, okay, is our thought patterns shape the direction we're going in life, what we think as being possible. Our belief structures shape what we believe as being possible. So generally with most of us, okay, me included, is our beliefs are a result of our external environment. So we only believe something as being possible once someone else does it, okay? And when we're trying to do something alone, in terms of we're having to survive on our own, to get through a challenge on our own, to get through a situation, and we don't have other people who've been through that same situation, we have to create that belief for ourselves. We have to validate our thoughts of this is possible. We have to validate our beliefs of, I can do this. I will do this. And we have to validate our actions of, these actions I have set out are going to get me to the result I want to get to. And all I need to do is take the actions and I will get the result. So for example, I'll use sales as a good example. When you're starting off in sales, it's quite daunting. You might get a task of finding 20 new clients for your business, okay, for the business that you work at. And you sit there and you think, how will I ever do that? I don't know how to get one client. So what we have to do is we have to think and we have to look and we have to devise a strategy of, if I take these actions, I will get the result I want to get. And then we have to have the belief, okay, because the belief is going to fuel our willingness to suffer, our willingness to take those actions. Our belief is going to get us through those dark nights of the soul, through those dark days where we cannot see success, where we cannot see the finish line. But what we have to do is we have to believe, we have to trust ourselves that if we take these actions that we've set forward, we will get the result. And if we don't get the result, that's okay. We will have the knowledge, we will have the experience and the data to be able to reanalyze and reset our beliefs or our actions in a new way to achieve that goal. And if it takes us 99 times to achieve it, you know, on that 100th time when we achieve it, it does not take away. And if other people are able to get there quicker and easier, taking shortcuts, it's okay. They can take the shortcuts, but we have to believe that if we truly want success within ourselves, we have to take the actions that are right for ourselves, that are authentic for ourselves, okay? And we have to understand that we set the rules in our reality of what is possible, okay, of what can be, you know, where we can get to, of what actions need to be taken. Now, it doesn't mean that we devalue other people's ideas, but we have to look at them through the lens of, is this action authentic for me? Is this belief or thought pattern authentic for me? Does it make me feel better doing it? Or does it make me feel less? Does it give me, you know, internal strength? Does it give me physical strength? Does it give me mental strength? Does it give me spiritual strength? Or is it an action that is just an easy, quick way to get there? So a big thing to understand is delayed gratification. We have to be willing to do the work even though we don't see the results. We have to be willing to believe in ourselves even when no one else does, even when no one else should believe in ourselves. That's when we have to believe in ourselves, because it's through those actions of believing in ourselves, even when our external environment doesn't agree with us, is how we build the self-trust and the self-worth and the self-value and our self-belief within ourselves. Okay? It's through validating ourselves even when our external environment doesn't validate us, because it's quite easy for us to validate our beliefs when everyone around us shares our beliefs, but it doesn't mean that it's right for us. So we have to always watch and assess and analyze, is this right for me or is this not right for me? You know, is this going to make me truly happy in life? You know, and if I only take authentic actions that make me happy in life, you know, that serve my best intention, when I do that, I will feel powerful. I will feel powerful in my own right, powerful in my belief, you know, that belief that I can achieve whatever my mind sets out. And generally in life, that's the hardest thing, is if we've never, you know, like me earlier in my life, never taken that risk to believe in myself. That was the hardest thing, taking that first step, that first action, to being able to, you know, have that confidence to, even if I'm wrong, even if this goes against me and I fail, that I'm building up that character within me, that self-belief, that self-value, that self-worth, through validating those beliefs, through being willing to take the actions that I set out. Because we must take action on what we think and believe as being our reality, or being what we need in life, or being the actions that serve our best interest in life, or our best intention, okay? So really understanding this, okay, for me personally, was through not so much listening to others, but through going through hardship and suffering. And when I went through hardship and suffering, I realized it was never as bad as I thought. For example, in life, the majority of us fear bankruptcy. We fear financial failure. But financial failure doesn't kill us. Financial failure isn't the end. Because if we're able to get back up and continue, we will eventually reach success. Because it may take one time, it may take 100 times, it may take 1,000 times, it may take a lifetime. But if we are willing to do what we believe we need to do for our best life, for who we want to be, we will look back at the end of our life and realized we reached our version of success, even if we didn't have material returns, even if we didn't have external validation with inside of it, like inside of ourselves, okay? We will reach that part of ourselves where we look back on all of the hardships, all of the trials and tribulations of life, all those situations that we thought were breaking us, and we will realize it never broke us, because we never gave up. The only way to ever truly fail in life is to quit and give up, okay? Is to check out early, to not be willing to sit in pain, to sit in suffering. Because that's one of the things when we, when we're taking action, or when we're going through situations, our mind just wants to find comfort. We've been trained and conditioned by the external environment to always seek comfort, to always seek security. And that doesn't get us to where we want to be, unless where we want to be is where everyone else is. When we want to be somewhere unique to us, we have to be willing to fight, be willing to suffer, be willing to go through whatever we need to go through to get to the other end. And that looks like many different things to many different people. For some people in life, their ideals are supporting their family. You know what I mean? And their suffering is suffering through, jobs that they have to do so that they can support their family. And even if it's, not the most important job, they don't earn a lot of money, but they manage to support their family, they're able to look back and say, I made it through that. And that's where true, that's where the end of our personal development story is when we can look back and we can realize that we changed who we were through the thoughts that we had, through the beliefs that we held, through the actions that we took day in, day out, moment to moment. You know what I mean? When we can do that and we can look back on ourselves and say, I'm proud of you. You got through this. That's when we have that true power, that true strength. That's our power. That's that knowing that nothing can hurt us, that life isn't out to get us, that everything negative in our life, to an extent, is us doing it to ourselves. Now, if someone walks up and they rob you, that's not you, saying, I want to be robbed. But sometimes through your actions, maybe you were in an area of town that is more higher risk. Maybe you weren't observant. Maybe you didn't have situational awareness and different things like this. So we got to understand our responsibility in life, but also some things are extenuating circumstances. Sometimes in life, things that we believe as being negative that happen to us are just always going to happen. And it's not that it's happening to us, but it's just where we are in life in terms of our physical location, our physical location, or our behaviors or our actions are what led us to being in that situation. So we always have control over the situations that we put ourselves into and how we deal with those situations. But what we got to remember is that it's not about being the victim. Nothing's ever happening to us. It's just happening because we create the meaning in our mind. Because, for example, what I believe is meaning and what I believe means something to me, okay, may not mean anything to you. So what we've got to understand is it's subjective, not objective, okay? Meaning in life, good and bad, is all subjective to who is viewing it, to the narrative that they're creating, to, this situation and how they're perceiving it. Okay? Because an objective thing would be, if the universe believed that, killing was negative. But we can understand that that isn't a true thing because we kill animals to eat. Animals kill animals to eat. It's not a bad thing, okay? It's not the end of the world in terms of it's a part of life, life and death isn't two separate things. It's two sides of the same coin. You know what I mean? On one side's life, on the other side's death. And when we're alive, that coin is in the air and it's flipped and it's just spinning in the air. Is it going to land on life? Is it going to land on death? Maybe it spins for a bit. And we're in this limbo of life and death. For there to be life, there must be death. For there to be death, there must be life. Okay? But also in every moment, our cells are dying in our body and then being recreated. It's this constant cacophony of life and death. And that's what gives us our life. Because if our cells didn't die and they were all just the same, we would never grow. To build muscle, we must first tear that muscle and break that muscle. So remember that, to understand happiness, we must know sorrow. We must know sadness. We must know loss. To value anything in life, we must first have lost something that we valued because we don't understand it. If all we ever got was positive in our life, we would never be able to deal with anything negative. And if we only ever get negative in life, the moment we get the tiniest amount of positive, it means the world to us. So you got to understand it's not that things are happening to us, but we need it as a part of our growth. We need it as a part of our understanding, and we have to be able to validate internally the narrative, the meaning, what everything means to us. So, for example, if we're in business and our business fails, it's not that it's a good or a bad thing, but it gives us knowledge, it gives us growth, it gives us understanding. And the next time we do it, we are wiser, we are more powerful, we have greater knowledge, greater experience. And if it takes us 3, 4, 5, 6 times to do, that's okay. Every time we become better at it. The only time we don't grow is when we're unaccepting of our role in the situation. When we blame other people and play the victim, we can never grow from any situation. Because when we blame other people, We give them our power, because there's nothing I could have done in that situation. It was all that person. That person now has full control over me because I have no ability in that situation. Do you see where the bad is? When we don't accept responsibility for our actions, for our, for our responsibility in the situation, we will never accept that it is up to us to grow from it, that it is up to us to deal with it. So these were some of the greatest things that I learned throughout all my hardest lessons, that it wasn't that everything was happening to me. It was that as a young and old, I was blaming other people. They were doing this to me. They were doing that to me. I couldn't get ahead because other people didn't believe in me. I could never do what I wanted to do unless other people believed in me and supported me. And that was the greatest tragedy, because it's a self-limiting belief. It creates a self-fulfilling prophecy that if I believe I can't do something, my mind will create a reality where that is impossible for me to do. So really understanding, how our language influences how we create a narrative in our mind, what we believe is happening. Because if I say something's happening to me, but I believe that nothing's happening to me and that I'm fine, there will be a disjoint between my thoughts and beliefs. But my beliefs are what I feel. My thoughts are what I think. Okay? So I will feel like everything's okay, but I will think everything's going wrong. Or maybe I think everything's going right, but I believe everything's going wrong. So I think consciously that I'm in a good position, but I don't feel like I'm in a good position. It's really understanding that our thoughts and beliefs work within each other. Okay, that by just believing that everything's okay, we can influence our thoughts, and just by thinking everything's okay, we can influence our beliefs. But we have to be conscious about it, in the sense that if I think everything's going okay, and then I believe everything's, I'm not in the spot I want to be, it's not happening how I want it to happen, it's not going to happen, my beliefs will override my thought unless I'm consciously in control of my thought. Just to the same, if I think everything's going wrong and the language I use is everything's happening to me, why is this happening? Why can't I get a break? And I believe, that it will happen if my thoughts outweigh my beliefs, in terms of I'm not consciously understanding my beliefs, okay, and I'm not consciously understanding my thoughts. Over time, my thoughts will erode that belief and bring it down, okay? So we got to understand the power of understanding, the power of awareness, the power of mindfulness. And when we understand our thoughts, when we understand our beliefs and how they influence our actions, because like we said, okay, our thoughts are what we create our actions from. Our beliefs are what fuel us in taking those actions, what give us momentum, what allow us to take those strides, to take those actions, to continue taking the hits when life is hitting us. Even though life isn't hitting us, I'll put it to you like this. You're running through the forest and it's thick shrubs, all right? And the trees are all intertwined. And you're running through there because someone's chasing you, trying to kill you. So you're just running. There's a bear behind you and you're just running. Are the trees hitting you, or are you just hitting the trees? Do you understand? If you're running through the branches, are those trees trying to hit you? Or is it that just those trees are there and you're running through them? That is how life works. The obstacles and the setbacks and all of that are out there. And it's just when we take certain paths, we put ourselves in front of those obstacles. So it's not that those obstacles are in front of us and always being drawn to us. It's that sometimes the path we take has more obstacles than another. And it's not a bad thing. Because if I'm running through those trees and those branches are hitting me, and I choose to accept that those branches will not stop me because I don't want to be eaten by that bear, then I'm going to keep running regardless. Okay? So it's not about that life is happening to us. It's just obstacles, setbacks, and challenges are out there. And when we take action towards what we want, generally, there are obstacles, setbacks, and challenges along that path. And it's not that anything we do are bringing them into us, but it's just that we have to break through them. Because sometimes when we're creating a new path that no one else has created, okay, and we're running through thick shrubs or scrubland, there's going to be a lot of obstacles that we have to either run through or avoid. Sometimes we can't see them until they hit us in the face. And yes, sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes we can knock ourselves down by misjudging those situations or those obstacles. But if we get back up and we identify them and we move around them, or we choose to physically break through them, we can continue on. It's all about just continuing on. Every time we get knocked down, we can get back up quicker. Every time we get knocked down, we get back with more force. Every time those branches hit us in the face, we choose to tense our muscles and run harder at the next obstacle. We choose to put our arms up and we choose to brutally berate ourselves through it. We bash through it. We do not let it stop us. With every hit, we get more fire. With every hit, okay, of these obstacles, setbacks, challenges, we get more fuel. We choose to determine, is this going to break me? Is this going to shake me? If the answer is no, then we choose to hit it with more force. Because as physics dictates, the object with greater force will break through the object with less force. So if I run at a tree branch and I run harder and faster than I normally would, I will break through that branch with less effort. Okay? So that's just a little bit on some of my experiences and my understandings on self-validation. And we have to understand that it's about that knowing that we'll always be able to get back up, regardless of what happens. If it does not break us or kill us or destroy us, even if it does, if there's life in this blood, if there's breath in this body, we can keep fighting. We can keep pushing through. We can keep moving forward, because it's not about how hard you can hit in life, but it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. A great quote from Sylvester Stallone. All right. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.